Good morning. All right, let's get into it. Got some interesting gappers today again. Let's start with some small cap stuff. NBY, the leading gapper right now, pushing in pre-market. What do we have? So this one started running in after hours yesterday. Enters into $6 million purchase agreement. With a private investor, David E. Lazar, for the purchase of the company's non-voting convertible preferred stock. Nice. Let me ask Grok what this means exactly. Sounds like he's buying the convertibles. Maybe reducing the dilution. Or maybe it's adding dilution and they're just receiving some funding here. Okay, this is a potential dilution strategy focused on growth and restructuring. So they're just raising some money. Now, what would be interesting is what is the convertible price for that dilution? That's what we want to know. And what is the timeline? So let's see if we can find out real quick. Pull up the filings real quick. So we can see the date. Yesterday, we had a filing, an 8K. And we had the 10Q on the 14th. So let's see if there's anything in this 8K. All right. Probably going to be too much to look into right now. They've got all kinds of convertibles. 77 million convertible D share, 43 million E. Oh, here's the Lazar. So this is what we saw in the filing or the news. Stock will not be converted by Mr. Lazar until the special dividend has been declared and paid to company stockholders. Okay, so he has some rules to follow, so he can't just immediately dilute. But we still need to know exactly when the timeline is for this, because it could be a pretty opportune short if we can find that out. Always sell with the sellers. We'll have to dig into this a little bit later. But that's how you can dig up some stuff on these companies. All right. A little bit more research than we normally do. SISI. And ideally for NBY, ideally that date is not today, and its timing is over the next several days. All right, let's see here. Trading higher after the company unveiled its on-chain sell asset tokenization platform. Crypto stuff. So, agreement with a blockchain infrastructure provider enables blockchain nonsense to happen, and Bitcoin, blah blah blah. Okay, so we're pumping with crypto, still seeing a lot of PRs like this. Obviously, this company is in the gutter. This was a nice little run back here. So it has some multi-day potential. This was one. But just so unlikely that it gets going like that again. Trib, this one was a recent runner back here on the 14th. This was such a good trade. We might get a follow-up on it. Approval granted for the commencement of offshored and outsourced manufacturing of its flagship rapid HIV test. So they're outsourcing manufacturing. Why not? What about tariffs? Is this a U.S. company? Ireland. Regardless, this is a great trader, Trib. Have to keep a watch on that one for sure. NBY. All right, we got our watch list updated. PPCB. This one ran a few days ago, a couple days ago. It is gapping currently on day 3. Unfortunately, we can't buy it because it already gapped up. Potential short op. Let me see. Okay, this is a little too much. RCKT, this floats a little bit high on that one, so probably going to be an avoid for me. FDA has lifted the clinical hold on the phase 2 trial, so that's another biotech. We will watch it. AUUD, nice gapper. Not up huge though. Look at that, every time it goes up, it comes back down. All right, I want to look at the swing trade here on Tesla. Very important. Very key area for Tesla. We've got the algo exiting the long position. Again, the algo is up 650,000 since 2023. So, exiting the long position, I would have sold into that trend line. But now it's gearing up for possibly a short. We will see. We will see. And this is something I like to shadow trade. So we're going to be looking for that short. Maybe if it gets long again, I'll take the long. So we're just going to kind of follow whatever this does for the most part. Swing opportunities right now are looking like Lululemon. This thing is pretty far off the top. Fundamentally, what's changed with the company? Mainly tariffs. And let's see, let me see what my financial advisor says about this one. Just to see what AI says about it, because sometimes it brings up some interesting points. I do think this is a long. I like how it took out the low here. And look at this. Last time it took out a low like this, what happened? We had a pretty big run. Pretty big run. So this bottomed out last year, right around September, and then it put a run into December. And I kind of think it could do something similar again. So I will be loading into a position on Lulu for a big swing. Look at this trend break. By the way, this is going to be a big key area to look at. Kind of lines up nicely with that 20 moving average too. So I want to see that hold up. Reclaim the trend. I'll start loading in even more. I've just been buying a little bit. I don't have much yet, but I will be adding slowly into that. This is probably one of the biggest opportunities into the end of the year for a swing trade. So we'll see if it can get going or not. Obviously, we have another one, UNH. UNH is looking really good. We have the Berkshire's buying this. And I think their average is probably 280, I would guess. Because they ended up buying on this day into the dip, 515. They bought some over here, and then they bought into this follow-up dip. So ideally here, we have another setup for a swing. I probably should still be long, but I ended up buying on these trend breaks here. I sold it into the bounce too soon, but now we could see, hopefully we see a gap fill back down to the 270s and then another leg up. Be pretty much best case scenario for me. Intel. Amazing move here. It's been in this range for quite a while. And it's getting pumped up right now. Trump's talking about it. We have SoftBank committing $2 billion. So this has some catalyst behind it. It has some interest, and this could be about to make a pretty big move back up. So another one, I sold too soon. I bought on the trend break right there. Sold too soon. And of course, you can't predict the news, but what you can do is position yourself in case something happens. And then you just enjoy those moves whenever random news comes out like that. Again, though, I want to see this set up for another trade. I almost had it, but SoftBank bought, ended up pushing this back up in after hours over here. So now maybe we're going to see a pullback. Maybe. We do have the overall market trying to roll over. It is trying to roll over. NVIDIA. This is kind of a big deal. We got a big trend break on NVIDIA. And yesterday we saw some follow through on it for the first time. So this trend hasn't broken. This is a trend from April this year. So pretty large trend line. And it's a big deal when these break, especially when the daily looks like this. Looks like a pretty crazy move. And I'd say the AI bubble is popping right now. We have Michael Burry short again, all kinds of stuff. So I would say we're getting ready to see a pretty decent drop on this. Maybe hard to say how much. At least back to that breakout level probably. So wouldn't be surprised if we see 150s by the end of the year or over the next couple months. But so far, it's still holding that trend line for the most part. It has broken it for the first time. The moving average on the 20 moving average right here It was holding that all the way up, and now it has broken it officially yesterday. Pretty absurd move. So we do see a lot of times when we have a big red day in the market, the following day is a big green day. And if that does not happen, that'll confirm that pretty much this trend break is going to follow through. You never know how much. But it's pretty different from this last run up over here where we had a big red day, but it was extended from the 20 and it kind of pulled back into the 20. And even though this close was super nasty looking, it ended up gapping up the next day and having a nice green day, holding that moving average again. Again, right here, nasty red day into little green day. But then it finally did break the moving average and had a decent pullback. So we're going to see something like that. A lot of stuff breaking trend, like Microsoft as well. Very clear trend break on Microsoft. Same setup basically. Had this huge blow off on the earnings and then grinding back down into the trend break. So if this trend reclaims though, this is going to be a pretty mega bear trap and it'll probably shoot up pretty aggressively. But until then, looking super weak. Also, Bitcoin. Looking kind of weak. It is looking kind of weak. Double top fake out, usually a sign at the top. Unfortunately, we saw it back here. Double top fake out into huge downtrend. Double top fake out into huge downtrend. Double top fake out. Now what? Probably into huge downtrend, but we'll have to see. Bitcoin's still holding the 50 moving average for the moment. So there's a chance we see a bounce back up. Just like back over here. Held the 50, bounces back up. Maybe we see that. And then there's a chance it goes higher after that. If we lose that 50-day moving average though, look what happens. Big pullback probably coming. We see things like Coinbase that rely on Bitcoin. Wow, what a setup on this thing. Look at that. All-time high breakout was a huge fake. And that triggered the downtrend. How about that? That's insane, isn't it? Fake breakout of the century. MSTR looking like a penny stock. Honestly, these are the same patterns we trade in penny stocks, small caps. Double top fake out, backside bounce short. Same thing. Again and again. Just keeps happening. Good morning, Scotty. I was just explaining how the market's about to go up or down. All right. NBY. I like to look at this for a short. Hopefully I can take advantage of this one. One minute to the bell. Good luck, everyone. So small caps. Yeah. Nvidia trend break not looking great. Bitcoin down. Looking very, very weak. Microsoft trend break too. But small caps don't care about any of that pretty much. Do have some swings though. All right, here we go. NBY leading gapper. Want to see the morning clear out for short. Squeeze the early shorts out. Intel dropping pretty hard. Love to see that because I'd like to rebuy. Trump is going to be, I don't know, Trump's on top of it. He is trying to pump it. Maybe FOMO will pour gas on the fire this afternoon. Perhaps. Man, Intel is looking like a nice little dip buy. Jeez, look at that. Not sure why it's dropping like that, but I don't see any news. SoftBank's getting involved. Trump's trying to pump this thing up. I don't know. It's in the sell zone though. It ran right into the sell zone. That $25 area. But this looks like a decent little panic dip buy situation. FOMC, yes. Yeah. Yeah, I saw your post about that. Those are super helpful because I always forget stuff. Seems like I don't know. Seems like it's going to bounce pretty well here. So my Tesla algo closed the Tesla long. Looking for the next move on it. How low will it go? What's with the liquidation out of the gate? It's kind of crazy. Unity probably going to drop pretty hard. I would imagine that one's getting pumped up on Twitter pretty hard. Been blindsided too many times. Yeah. All right. Maybe trying to base here. Probably could play this off the 1 minute MACD pretty much for the bounce. I don't know, maybe it's trying to fill this gap right here. There's a gap down towards 2350, 2360 area. Could this be the bottom? Averaging into it. That MACD is about to be turning green. No 5-minute green candle yet. A lot of times you just wait for the first green candle and buy it. Pretty much as simple as that. Watching hourly UTL. Let me take a peep. Something like that, maybe? All right, we'll see if this MACD wants to go green and stay green. It is trying to turn over. Of course, it doesn't have to. It has pretty much filled that gap now. Let's see, where is it? I don't know. Not really bouncing yet. Gonna reset it. Okay, it wants to go a little lower. That MACD still is trying to turn green. pretty much going to bounce unless it's just a pure liquidation type move. And then it's just not going to bounce all day pretty much. I don't really like this walk down action. Still probably fine though. All right, first green MACD print. No green 5 minute yet. Little bit sus. All right, I'm short NBY. Can we bounce or not? All right, 5 minutes trying to go green for the first time here. Keys getting slammed. It's pretty wild. I took some Tesla short-term swing trade following the algo. All right. Intel bouncing now, maybe First try to bounce here. I have 23.69 average. So we'll see if it's going to be an all-day liquidation type thing or if it's going to just bounce, because when these kind of stocks dip like this in the morning, usually they bounce. It's like, look at this one. Amazing. That's all we want. Just a little bounce back, some kind of retracement. Back up into VWAP or something. Nothing huge. Okay, Tesla's going down more. Maybe a little sketchy with the market like it is. Trying to do a dip buy in the morning. But I don't know. Intel is in the news. We got Trump pumping it. We got SoftBank getting involved. So it's got some good things going for it. Obviously, I'm just going for the retracement play. I'm not going to be swinging this one. Hopefully we get some bounce. Green 5-minute candle finally. Pretty much want to see that hold. The low needs to be in now, in my opinion. That green MACD is starting to curl back up on the red MACD on the 5-minute. So that's a good sign. The big question is going to be, is Tesla going to break out of this wedge? Or not? It's following my prediction from way back here pretty nicely. Oh, Intel's coming back on me a little bit. May not get the bounce on it. May not get the bounce. We'll see if we get the double bottom or not. Not giving up on it yet. So many panics right now. Amazon, CoreWeave, Nvidia, Apple, Tesla. This isn't really bouncing how I wanted. Give it a few more minutes. MBY looks like it's going to fade nicely. Still, we'll see. It's still in play. If this was just an Intel-driven sell-off, then it would be probably a better bounce. But since it's just market-wide, possible that it just doesn't bounce. But we are seeing Apple bounce pretty good. Tesla's bouncing pretty well too. I did short some Tesla at 324.66. So just going to follow that algo strat. Short term, short, swing short. Now if that wedge breaks on Tesla, we could see some more downside. It's been getting really tight in that wedge. Want another leg down on Tesla? It could happen. It's got to crack that wedge. If the wedge breaks, we could see something. Okay, Intel trying to bounce now, maybe. So far, just pathetic bounce. So we'll see if the first green candle strat works. Looking better. Let's check on the 10-minute. 10 minutes is too slow. Yeah, it's hard to say if Tesla's going to break that wedge, but if the overall market is weak, it could happen. We could literally be at the top of the AI bubble right now. NVIDIA's having a massive pullback. I think a lot of it depends on how this reacts today, though. Because it could reclaim. If it reclaims and turns into a big bottom wick on the daily, then that's looking strong again. If it stays weak, it's looking really bad. We're getting a big long green MACD here, but no bounce. Yet. Some really good traders I know are saying PLTR is about to have a 50% pullback off the top. Scotty never said that. Good one. You haven't said it yet. All right, this is looking kind of weak. Could still work. Might give up on it. Still working technically, yeah. Just not getting that nice quick reaction. It is the morning, so I would expect these moves to work pretty quickly. So far it's just flat. Tesla not really bouncing yet either. All right, I'm going to call it on an Intel. Small loss. Yeah, the market is just, it's in a crazy spot right now. Totally crazy spot. Gonna have to shift our strategies a little bit. But the main thing for me right now on the swings is going to be this Tesla algo. It did take a short at 321. which this doesn't always get the best entries or exits, and it still manages to do really well because Tesla has such good swings. Probably the best stock to swing trade. Definitely the best stock to swing trade consistently. Other ones are very good in short bursts, but Tesla's pretty much always good. So you think 312? Let's see. I don't know. It's hard to say. I was thinking if the wedge breaks down for real, then we could see 300. But I'm going to be swinging, so it all depends on what this wedge wants to do. All right, until lower. Good cut. Should have bounced by now. If we get a double bottom fake out, I'll probably retry one more time. Ten times the size. You always double, triple down when you lose. That's the rule. Just kidding, though. Oh, wow. PayPal down. Yeah, everything's down. Let's see. Honestly, for some of these other stocks, potentially this dip is setting up for a really good entry on some swings. Tesla, let's see. Maybe a bounce near 4-hour UTL in Tesla. Let's see here. I have a 2-hour. Yeah, see, I have this wedge, which is pretty clean, and it faked out the bottom, it faked out the top, and now it's back in. What's it gonna do? It's testing that area again. So difficult to say. I always tend to think trend lines are going to hold. So if it gets there, I think it's probably going to hold. But I'm on like a swing trade mindset with it, so I'm going to hold through some chop and just see if it wants to break down. I got it short at 324.66. $322. Nice. Yeah, the algo has it at 321.50. So in that ballpark, probably fine. So the big question is this bottom trend line going to break or not? If it cracks, then we're probably coming down towards 300 over the next week or so. Nike is the only one that's not dropping like a rock. Also Sunrun, for whatever reason. Totally unaffected by this. See, what I want to see is several days of pullback and then a reclaim on pretty much whatever stock, like UNH, Tesla. Like if UNH could pull back towards 280, 270, fill that gap, and then set up for a trend break like this, like one of these trend breaks, but back over here, then we are going to be looking really good for an entry, a re-entry. I should still be long, but I'll rebuy it for sure. So far, not much bouncing going on. Intel lower. So dips like this are great opportunities. This is how we get opportunities. Still have to time it a little bit. All right, Tesla lower. Wow. Coming right into that wedge. I mean, I would expect a bounce here, at least a short-term bounce. SPY new low. Oh, I have an interesting trend line on SPY. Let me see here. SPY. Okay, we have a pretty serious trend line right here on SPY. So far, it's still above it. It is still above it. But we've had 1, 2, 3. This will be touch number 4 coming up. How many times is it going to hold? I wouldn't get too worried until this trend breaks for the overall market. And even then, probably you would see a pretty convincing break breakdown pullback, and then a rollover, which will probably take, I don't know, a month to play out. Kind of expected to see some kind of drop into 600. Let's see if NVIDIA wants to bounce or not. All right, NBY still trying to break down. There's a major level at $1. We'll see if that can crack. maybe we see some bounce now. I cut a whole bunch of swings yesterday. Tesla 312, you think? It's possible. The thing is, it's got that bottom wedge to get through. So it depends how it reacts around there. If it cracks that, I think we go... We could see 300, 305 area. But it might not happen today. Thinking over the next week or so. All right, so are things going to bounce or not? Today is as good as good as any day. Yeah, true. Why not? Send it today. Yeah, still super weak. I feel like we're gonna see a bounce at some point, but it doesn't have to. This could just be liquidation day. No bounce. Looks like Michael Burry's making a killing. Still no bounce on SPY. SPY looks like could bounce and Tesla double bottom. Oh, here we go. Maybe Intel's gonna bounce here. Nice little trend break. Now the 5-minute MACD is looking really juicy. All right, you're out of Tesla. I see. Nice trade. NBY still somehow holding $1. Probably just a matter of time before that one drops. Got this little trend break here on Intel intraday. We'll see if that can hold up. Tesla 316s now. Yeah, it's going to go to 312 now. They knew you got out, so now they're going to dump it. Yep, okay. Things not looking very bouncy. Okay, let's see here. NBY. Somehow holding on to $1. So we'll have to give this some time to fade. Short at 109. So yeah, Tesla pulled back perfectly to that wedge so far. It's just tagging that wedge. The question is now, can it continue or is it going to hold? If it's going to hold, this is where it probably should hold. Let's see, the algo is in pretty good. Look at that, the algo's up 12K right now. All right, gentlemen. Got to get going. Gonna call it there. We have Tesla short at 324.66. NBY short 109. That's all we have right now. Gonna let these things play out. I do have Nike still for a swing, so I'm just gonna hang on to that. It seems to be less impacted by all this action. But I do think that Lulu is probably a really big opportunity coming for a swing towards the end of the year. You get a 60% discount off the top, off of a good company. It's usually a good buying opportunity, taking out the recent lows. And if this can truly base in this area, we could see a really nice bounce going into the end of the year. So kind of like this bounce right here, we could see maybe 20-30% bounce. That's what I'm thinking. Of course, it could continue, but difficult to time the bigger moves, I think. But all right, I'm going to call it there, guys. Good luck, and we'll be back tomorrow.